Now, all our books address one or more social issues, and the social issue in Dead Little List is the internment of Japanese Canadians during World War II.
The events of the book, which have to do with questions of restorative justice. That is, how do you come to terms with the wrongs you have done in the world and restore what harmony you can?
So our third book is set in England, and it's set in an area of England called the Peak District, which is a remote hilly area with some remote villages. And as we discovered, in some of these villages there are rites which have pagan origins still being practiced in contemporary versions. And we were really intrigued by that idea.
Have any of you ever heard of well dressing, except those of you who've talked to us about it? Well dressing probably began in pagan times with a simple placing of scraps of cloth or notes, or in some places perhaps coins or other objects in wells or springs as an offering to the gods and a thank you for the blessing of water. And the Peak District is a particularly good place for this kind of custom to flourish, because it's a limestone area, and so springs bubble up all over and the water appears and disappears. And so once you found it, you would be very grateful and you would hope that it wouldn't disappear again. So there are records of well dressings, which probably by the 14th century, when there are written records, probably were placing of garlands and things like that at the wells or the springs. But in the late 19th century, this custom became very much elaborated until now. There are huge panels, say 6 feet by 8 feet or something like that, and usually with removable parts. So the sides come off, the top comes off, the bottom comes off. So you have one main panel and then these subsidiary panels. And these panels are covered with a layer of clay, and then using only natural materials, seeds, flower petals, rocks, peppercorns perhaps, anything that seems to fit. The well dressers create, usually in less than a week, a really elaborate picture that may be a biblical scene in some cases, in many cases, or it could be a scene from the village or a natural scene. And then these are erected at the town wells or other appropriate spots. And there's a big festival that goes on around it. And of course, it's a fundraiser for, these days, primarily the local churches, church schools, other community organizations. And so the custom is that from May to September, there are about 100 different villages that have well dressing festivals, and tourists go around and visit these spots and donate money, and the village flourishes for another year. So this is the custom that seemed to us to be very promising for a nice village mystery, because there you have a small collection of people working very intensely over a short period of time to create this object that is ephemeral. And so obviously it's a time when tempers may flare and all sorts of things happen.
A very notorious history, it turns out, of exploitation of orphan children. It was right out in the country, and therefore nobody, in a sense, could oversee how they treated their child labourers. And they took orphans from various cities and exploited them. It essentially worked them to death. I mean, there's no, pretty well. Now, there's some writing on Little Mill. Some of this we didn't discover till later, but that really intrigued us, and it seemed like this was some image that we were going to bring into our book. And so we just settled on that area, and we discovered this little village called Miller's Dale, which Michael knows, and his family used to visit, unbeknown to us. And we doubled its size, renamed it, and reinvented all the inhabitants, and it became Mill-on-Wye in our book. The other piece involving Lindau Man, and for those of you who don't know, Lindau Man was a man, a prehistoric man found in a peat bog with signs of strangulation and ritual sacrifice. And it was mentioned to us by my cousins, my brother and sister cousins. And we went up to see Lindau Man, and again that turns to be part of our book. Another passage is about a debate between pagan and Christian influences.